All right. I'm Dr. Nicole Goddard. I'm one of the sports medicine physicians with Beacon. I'm here on Fridays upstairs from about 8 to 4. I'm one of the sports medicine physicians that is non-operative, so I see everything from head to toe, including concussions. I do a lot of ultrasound-guided injections and diagnostics, and I'm also an osteopath, so I do osteopathic manual therapy, or it's also called manipulative treatment. It's commonly thought of just almost like chiropractic care or hands-on treatment you get from physical therapists, but it involves like hands-on treatment, not just of musculoskeletal issues, but also like pneumonia or even sinusitis. So if you have any issues, feel free to schedule an appointment. But today we're going to focus on one of my other loves, which is chair yoga. I got certified as a yoga and teacher in 2016 after my second knee surgery, and found it very difficult to do any type of activity without feeling some type of pain for at least the first few months, and started out doing restorative yoga, which I would also heavily recommend if there's any restorative classes, and then moved into yin yoga, which can also be very helpful for tendons and ligaments, and then found chair yoga around like 2020. And so chair yoga is great really for anybody. We say if you can breathe, you can do yoga. So it's just yoking a movement with a breath. I'm going to teach you some poses here today, and some people, they tend to have the idea that, well, if it's in a chair, it might not be that hard, and you'll find like some of these are challenging. So I don't want anybody to force trying to get into a pose or out of a pose. We can make modifications for everything. I want this to be fun and also very informal. So even though it's a flow and we're kind of going through different poses, if you have a question and if you want to ask, but you can say, what else can I do because my shoulder hurts? You don't even have to say that. You just say, how else can I modify this? I'll try to show you while I'm doing it. But if you have an area of interest like a knee or an ankle, and we kind of get through it and you say, do you have anything else for that? Just let me know and we can add to it. So feel free to yell out if you want and just say, what else can we do for this? Because I want to make it fun and a little interactive, okay? Mm-hmm. It's also okay if you just want to breathe. Is she locked out? Yeah, okay. But we'll wait for them to get back in here, then we'll get started. Hi. Oh. There's one here, and there's one here. Wherever you want to go. So we're just going to start with a deep breath. So we call this diaphragmatic breathing, and the easiest way to do this, I find, we're just going to come to the edge of the chair and then lean back, and we're just going to relax. You can let your hands fall onto your thighs. Feel free to close your eyes if you want to, but you don't have to. And we're going to start by taking an inhale to the count of 4, and as we do, we're going to inhale through the belly. So 2, 3, 4, and exhale 2, 3, 4 as you bring the belly button towards the spine. Just continue to repeat that breath, inhaling, filling the belly, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling 2, 3, 4. And my count might get off from yours, but you can continue to follow your own count. If you've heard about the autonomic nervous system, you have parasympathetics and sympathetics. And your parasympathetics are your rest and digest, and that's where we want to live most of our life. And when somebody cuts us off in traffic, or if we see a spider running towards us, that's when we want to be in sympathetic. So that's when we need our fight or flight. But the rest of the time, we want to try to live in parasympathetic. So anytime you feel yourself getting anxious, nervous, this is a good way to reset. Just inhaling through the belly and exhaling, bringing the belly button to the spine. We'll do a couple more rounds of that breath. And after your next exhale, you can go ahead and sit up and come to the edge of the chair, but make sure that your feet are anchored. So it looks like everybody's okay here. This is why we have the block. For those of us who are a little bit shorter, can feel free, we got a chair here if you want it. Kim's getting you a block too, so. You want to make sure that your feet are anchored, and this is a way that you can use your block. If you notice, I might be a little short and my chair doesn't allow me to touch the ground even at the edge. You can put your block here and that brings the floor to you. So use the props as you need it. You don't have to right now, but if you find like I need a little extra support, you can always put your feet on the block. And we're just going to start with warming up all of our joints. So we're going to start with our neck, and we're going to take our ear to shoulder. We want to try to do that without bringing your shoulder to the ear. So we want our shoulders down, our ear to shoulder, and depending on the side you chose, we're going to take our hand the opposite direction. So we're just going to reach out, and then you should feel the stretch. Then on your next inhale, you're going to come back to center. And then we're going to go the opposite direction. So opposite ear to shoulder, stretch out the other direction. Good. And then back up to center. Another way to build this, so I'll try to add in if you do have some ailment. So if you've ever had carpal tunnel or numbness in your hands, you sit up nice and tall, bring your arm out. Take your fingers up towards the ceiling and try to keep your arm even with your shoulder, and then extend your arm back until you hit an end point, and now side bend away, and that should really accentuate that stretch. And then head back to center, fingers to neutral, and then fingers down, and we're going to side bend towards. And that should feel a little bit different than side bending away. And then back up to neutral, up. We'll shake that side out. Now you never want to be in balance, so we're going to do the other side, opposite arm up. Fingers up, and then extend back, side bend away. And then back to neutral, fingers to neutral. And then fingers down towards the floor, side bend towards. And then back up to neutral. So if you shake that one out, if you do have like carpal tunnel or numbness or tingling, if you at home repeat that like 3 to 5 times, see if that makes a difference each day. Now we're going to do some neck rolls. So we're going to look down at the floor, and then we're going to look towards our left shoulder, and then up towards the ceiling, straight up towards our right shoulder, and then down towards the floor. So sometimes when we have arthritis in our neck, it can be dangerous to do quick range of motion, but if we do purposeful range of motion, we can still maintain without hurting ourselves. Now we're going to go the opposite direction. So I'm going to look towards our right shoulder, then up towards the ceiling, straight up towards our left shoulder, and then back down towards the floor, and then back up. So we know we have some sticky arthritic joints. Sometimes we get scared to move in certain planes, but we know novel movement or kind of enhancing that movement is helpful. So it's true that motion is lotion. So for each one of these, we're going to try to introduce some motion to maintain that lotion. So next one, we're just going to do some shoulder rolls. So we're going to roll up and down. And always remember, whenever you're moving one direction, don't forget to reverse it. So after a few, we can kind of take it and go back the other direction. And it should give you a different feeling. And then if you do these at home, the next time you do them, start the other direction. So if your body always wants to go in one direction, say, today I'm going to try the opposite. And then we're going to do a few purposeful ones. These are called shoulder crunches. So we're going to bring our elbows in, but then we're going to take our elbows straight back. And you should feel that in between your shoulder blades. And then to accentuate that, you're going to rotate out. You should really feel a good stretch back there. So if you start to have neck or mid-back pain, go ahead and come back. This is a good stretch. Yeah. So for this, if this bothers it, you just don't have to go out. Just come straight back. Make sure that your shoulders aren't up by your ears. Relax them down and use your arms just to pull the tips together. You shouldn't feel any sharp pain or pinch in that. And if you want, you can go out. Good. And then back in. Good. Another favorite of mine for this time of the year is butterfly hands. So we're going to bring our hands to heart center, and then you can clasp. And then we're going to imagine our elbows are butterfly wings, and we're just going to start flapping our wings. And that introduces a little bit of different movement that we usually don't do through the day. And then whichever way you're going, reverse it. So this might be a little challenging, but making your body move in a direction it's not used to, it builds brain cells for any type of, if you start to fall, if you lose your balance, if it's used to doing something one way, then that's usually how we hurt ourselves. Good, we'll go ahead and relax, shake that out. Good. So now, if any of these overhead motions are challenging for your shoulder, I'll show you an alternative. But if you're able, inhale, raising your arms overhead. If not, you can bring them opposite hand to opposite shoulder, okay? Your overhead, we're going to exhale down to goalpost.
How did you sit just together?
Yeah. And we're going to come to goalpost. So 2 ways we can do this if you want. When we inhale, you can come overhead, or when we inhale, you can come in front. So either one, okay? So you can inhale overhead, exhale down, or we can inhale to front, exhale out. So you can decide which one works best for you. Tight fists, exhale out, inhale in, exhale out.
So if you can't do it all the way, should you do it as far as you can?
Try the other one. Yeah. Yeah. Inhale, exhale, good. Okay, so we're going to build on some of these. So remember those goalposts because they're going to come back in later, okay? Now we're going to do just some lower extremity because we're going to let our upper extremity relax. So we're going to work on some ankles. So we're going to lift our leg up, and we're just going to start bringing our toes up towards the ceiling and then down towards the floor. And you might notice that there's a similar feeling with this as to when we had our arms out. And that's true. It's kind of stretching like similar muscles on the front and the back of the leg. And then we're going to practice ankle rolls, but very controlled, one direction. And then the opposite direction. And you might hear popping and cracking is actually okay. as long as it doesn't hurt. Yes. That gets gas bubbles out, and it's good. That's good. Okay. And then we're going to extend the opposite, and we're going to flex those toes up. And you might feel, this is sometimes how we learn about our body, like we see and then point down. One side can go farther than the other, and that's okay. We learn which one we might balance better with, and up, and then down, and then up, and down. And then we're going to circle one direction, and then the opposite direction. So especially if you have arthritis in your ankles, it's good to keep it movement. I always say controlled movement. And now we're going to try to work our toes. So I'm going to lift my leg up, but you don't have to. In fact, keep them on the ground. And even if you have your shoes on, that's okay. I want you to practice lifting your big toe up and then taking it down to the ground. So on the ground, you would keep your small toes down, and you would try to lift your big toe up, and it is challenging. And you can do this in your shoes, but at home, Try to do it without any shoes on and keep the small toes down, big toes up. This is actually very good if you have like fallen arches.
Both at the same time?
Yeah.
I was focusing.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot. It's so easy to do this with your thumbs, right? But you see little kids, they can do this pretty easy, and then throughout life we start to lose it, and it's just a lot harder. But especially if you get like plantar fasciitis, this is a really good little stretch for those muscles. The other thing I want to say too is cramping, even though it hurts, is actually okay too. We have water, but it also, that's your body's way of trying to figure out how much energy do I need to send to that muscle. And then the hope is the next time you do it, you don't cramp. And then if you keep doing it, each time, less and less cramps. So if you want to build on that, you keep the big toe down and you lift the small toes. And you should feel that stretch in a different part of the foot. It's usually directly underneath and on the outside.
That seems easier.
It
than
is.
the toe.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a big tendon that runs down through that big toe, and then there's a few extra to help out the other ones. Yeah. Okay. And now we're going to practice, going to get into our hips a little bit. And so we're going to walk one leg out, heel toe, and then we're going to heel toe back in. Then we're going to heel toe out, and then heel toe back in. I tried to space it out. Does everybody have enough room? You okay? Okay. Heel toe out, and then back in. Good. And then we're going to go the opposite direction. We're just going to heel toe out and back in. Just a few times. So you should start to feel a stretch like on the inside of your thigh. Good. And then this time we're going to try to do both together, and then we're going to stay with our legs out a little, and we're going to incorporate in some of that shoulder. So we're going to inhale, arms overhead. Exhale to goalpost arms, or you can be here. And then we're going to try, imagine you're taking your shoulder to your knee. Yeah, so we're getting a little side bend. Yeah. And then back up. So we're going to go to opposite knee. So I'm going to take my left shoulder to my right knee, or my right shoulder to my left knee. There you go. And then back up. A couple more times. Back up. And then down the shoulder and back up. Okay. We'll come back to the hips. We're going to let them take a break for a minute. We're going to use our knees. So we're going to reach behind our thigh and lift our leg up. And then we're just going to start kicking out with the knee. Back and forth. And now we're going to do some knee circles. We don't think of our knee being able to circle, but it actually can. It actually has 4 planes of motion. We think of flexion and extension, so we're going to try to circle the knee. There you go. And again, if you can't do it right now, that's okay. That's just part of your body figuring it out. And then that creates new neurons. And if you want the stretch, you can pull it in a little bit more to get a stretch there. Relax it back out, and then we can circle the hip. Let's go up a little bit more. And remember to go both directions. So we started one direction, go the opposite direction. And I always say the next time if you do this at home, say which way am I getting ready to go, and then make yourself go the opposite. So then we'll do that on this side. We'll hold behind, just whichever side you're on, you can do the opposite. And some of the reasons why I don't say side is for you to just see which one you naturally go towards, and then the next time, think of the other one. So then kick out and back. We all usually have a dominant leg too. We say whichever leg that you would kick a soccer ball with is your dominant leg. So when you're exercising, really focus on the other one. And we're going to do some circles. One direction. And then the opposite direction. Good. And then we're gonna relax. And now we're gonna incorporate a few things. So we're gonna walk out, this time I will say, we'll walk out the right knee and we're gonna extend it. And we're gonna inhale our arms overhead. Exhale to heart center. And we're just gonna try to hinge at our hip and walk our hands down our leg. And that should give you a good stretch. Behind your leg particularly. And always remember to breathe. And then walk your hands back up your leg. Walk the leg back in. We're gonna do that on the opposite side. So we're gonna heel toe out, extend the leg. Inhale overhead. Exhale heart center. And then hinge over that left leg. This is a little bit different variation for a hamstring and a inside of the leg and adductor stretch, just to give you some options. And then we'll inhale, walk those hands back up, heel toe back in. And this time we're gonna work our back a little bit. So we're gonna inhale, arms overhead. We're down through heart center and behind, and I'm just gonna turn, but you don't need to, so that you can see where my hands are. So if you're able, you can put your hands on the lower part of your back, fingers facing down. If this is not accessible to you, that's okay. You can have them right here on the front and we can still get the same stretch, okay?
If you can do it with one hand, should you do it with
You
the
can do
one?
it with one.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't do it with this one, but.
Yeah, you can do it with one hand, yeah. This one's safe to do with just one. So what we're gonna try to do is inhale, open through here, and then exhale, bring the front of your shoulder together. So this is a little modified camel. Inhale, open, and then exhale down. And then on that inhale, try to keep bringing the tips of your shoulder blades together. So that's one area you'll notice I keep emphasizing, and then back down. And then back up to seated. Strengthening the muscles along your scapula and loosening the ones here help prevent like neck and mid-back pain as well as shoulder pain. So whenever you're standing, just try to keep they don't need to be up here and back, but relaxed and tips the shoulder blades together. So even if you're at home and you notice something there, just try to do that heart opener, and sometimes that can alleviate some symptoms. So now we'll get back into our hips a little bit. We're gonna bring our hands to the sides of our hips and we're just gonna hula hoop. So this is kind of a fun one. These are also ones that you can share with people that if you or someone else you know might work at a desk all day, you can see all of these can be done at a desk. And then we'll go the opposite direction. Again, popping's okay. Come back up to seated. Then we're gonna do a few twists. So I will say if you have osteoporosis, we definitely want to isolate the twist from a side bend, and I'll show you the two real quick. So this is a twist, and then this is a side bend. We're gonna do both, but what we don't want to do is a side bend twist. That's what compromises our back. So whenever we're moving, we want to isolate, am I twisting or am I side bending? And that'll help prevent compression fractures. So inhale, arms overhead. And we're going to take our left hand to the outside of our right knee and our right hand behind our chair. If that's not accessible, you can keep your arms here and just turn, okay? We're going to try, if we can, to look over our right shoulder like we did earlier. But again, if not accessible, you can keep looking forward. Yeah. And then inhale back to center. Good. Exhale, that's okay. Inhale, arms overhead. This time we're going to take our right hand to the outside of our left knee and our left hand to the side of the chair, and then look to the left. Again, remember, don't forget to breathe. All right, next inhale, come back to center. Now we're going to do a different variation of that cat-cow. So if this is not accessible, you can put your hands on your knee and you can inhale, open up through the chest, and then exhale, round the whole spine, but that includes tucking the pelvis. So I'm going to show you here, when you exhale, you want to also try to tuck through here. So we want to try to get the whole spine with this. Inhale, and then exhale. And we'll keep doing a few of those, and you really want to make sure on this that you're not just moving your neck, because then that can be harmful to your neck. Back down. Good. Now go ahead and come back up to center on your next inhale. So we'll isolate that other movement, the side bend. So bring your arms up overhead, and you're gonna grab your left wrist with your right hand, okay? And so then imagine you're pulling your left side to the right, but don't actually pull it. We want you to use your middle to then side bend, yeah. And keep reaching up. So imagine you're still reaching up. And then back up to center. Then we're just gonna go ahead and switch and go the opposite direction. Good. And then back in, good. Okay, and then go ahead and exhale back down. So we're gonna give our fingers a little bit of work, okay? So we're gonna clasp our hands, and then we're gonna practice with our wrists figure eights. So especially if we're using our hands all day, like on a computer or driving, this is something you can do to really work those out. Kind of like the butterfly, but all of the movement is in the wrists instead of from the shoulders. And then we go the opposite direction. And you might find the opposite is more difficult. You tend to start going one way, but it's good to challenge yourself in a different direction. Okay. Now we're going to use this block a little bit more, okay? So if you'd like, you can hold the block. And I like to hold it like this for this exercise just because it's easier to hold on to. And we're really going to push in. So when we push in, you want to feel that down here. So it's not all just in your arms. You want to feel it down here. So imagine you're carrying something really heavy. If you're carrying something heavy like groceries and you're out here and you're just holding it, that's how you hurt your shoulder. But if you're holding those groceries and you pull that shoulder back and pull it down and use this muscle here, you're less likely to hurt yourself, okay? So we're gonna hold it here, and then we're gonna practice those twists. One direction, or hold it for a second, and then the other direction while we're pushing in the whole time. All right, bring it back to center. One more time, we're gonna go right, and then left. And then back to center. Good, okay. Now we're gonna practice taking our foot over the block. So if you want a big challenge, you put it on the high setting. A medium is here, and to start would be right here. So we're gonna sink back into our chair a little bit, but still where you can reach the block. We're gonna try to get all the movement to come from our hip, and we're just gonna lift our heel up and over the block without help. So we're gonna try to make it all come from our hip. Up and back. Good. And we're gonna do the opposite side, up and over. Make sure your block's in the middle or else it becomes very hard to do the other side. Up and over. Good. Everybody feel pretty warmed up? Anything else they need loose? No? Okay, we'll do a little sun salutation then. So you can have your block in front of you again. Again, this is the standard size or here, okay? But we're eventually gonna forward fold. So So you can have it up. We're eventually going to forward fold, and we want your hands to ground on something. So whatever you think you can touch. If you think you can touch the ground, you can move it out to the side. But if you want, I'm going to have mine just like this to show that example. Also, if you have high blood pressure or a tendency towards vertigo, you want to be very careful with going down and back fast. So I'll show that variation first. When we come up and then we come down, and then we start to forward fold, you can stop right here if you know I might get dizzy coming up fast, okay? You can always put your hands in front of your knees, but if you want, you can go down farther. So we'll come back up to center, and we'll inhale overhead. Exhale through heart center, and we'll forward fold. And if you can touch the ground, but if not, place your hands on the block. But again, you don't have to take your head below your heart, okay? Then we're going to keep our left hand on either the floor or the block, wherever it's anchored, and we're going to twist the right hand up. So we're going to build on those twists that we were doing earlier. And we're going to bring it back down to the block. Inhale, arm up. Back down to the block. And then bring your hands to your knees and help push yourself up on your inhale. Good. Do that a couple more times, okay? Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale through heart center, all the way down, forward fold to your block. Left hand on the block, inhale, right arm up. Exhale, back to the block. Anchor that right hand right below your nose. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, back down to the block. Put your hands on your knees and then help push yourself up. Good. One more time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale all the way down. This time we're going to put our right hand on the block. Inhale the left arm up. We want to confuse the brain for a little bit. And then back down to center. Left hand in front of our nose. Inhale, right arm up. Back down to center. And then you can bring your hands to your knees and again, help push yourself up. Okay. Now we're going to do one of my favorite ones that I think is one of the most important because this keeps us independent. It's called blast off. So it helps us get up from a chair without help. So you notice none of these have arms. But it's good too if we're, for example, like at a public restroom, we don't have anything to grab onto. We want to be able to get up, right? So we're going to practice that. So we're going to inhale, arms overhead. Exhale through center. If you do feel unstable or uncomfortable, all you have to do is squeeze your bottom. But if you want, we're just going to practice standing straight up. Good. And then back down. Good. Good. And then straight up. And then back down. This is very easy for you all, I could tell. That's great. Good. Up. And then back down. Making it look great. And then back up. And then back down. Okay, good. So now we're going to try a sun B. It's a little bit different, okay? So we're going to inhale our arms overhead. Down through heart center. And we're going to take our right elbow. We're going to bring it to the outside of our left knee for a twist. So this is another variation on a twist. A couple breaths here. Back up to center. Opposite side, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Back up to center. Inhale overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bring your arms to your knees, push yourself up. And come to the edge of our chair. You can pick a side. And we're going to start to walk one leg back for a crescent lunge. Okay? This is why it's good not to have the arms, because they would keep you from hitting the side. And as best you can, you want to try to straighten that back leg. But it's okay. If you're like this, that's perfectly fine. Another good way to stretch your foot, you can put like the shoelaces down. That's something we don't usually do throughout the day, is give it a good foot stretch. Yeah. And then back up. And if you'd like to practice a little balance, you can bring the arms up overhead, okay? Good. And then inhale back down. Good job. We're just gonna walk back to center. I'm gonna repeat that whole sequence on the other side, okay? So you're gonna inhale, arms overhead. Exhale to heart center. We got to start from the beginning to get to the other side. And then we're gonna go the opposite direction this time. So we're gonna take left elbow to right knee, side bend twist, back up to center, right elbow to left knee, back up to center. Inhale, arms overhead. Down through center. Exhale, forward fold. Put your hands on your knees. Inhale, rise up. We're going to come to the other side, edge of the chair, and start to walk that outside leg back. And you can bend into the knee too. Bend and flex into the knee. You can put the shoelaces down or the top of your foot down to really stretch out through the top of your foot. This is also really good if you wear flip-flops this time of the year. This will help stretch those toes. And then back up. And if you want a good balance, arms overhead for a little balance. There you go. And then all the way back down. Another modification for this, if you do want to do crescent but you find it difficult, is you can come to the front of the chair. So if that's ever hard for you, you can always come to the front. So now we are going to use the front of our chair. We're going to do a little warrior two pose. So if you've ever seen someone do warrior two, this is one way to do it in a chair. Come walk your left leg out and have your toes facing towards the wall. And then you're going to walk your back leg back, but your heel should come in alignment with your back arch. That's still good, yeah.
One's forward, one's to the side.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
One's pointing this way and another one's pointing this way. Yeah. And then we're going to extend our hands out. And we're going to look towards that bent knee. There you go. Yeah. We're going to flow a little bit. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, arms down. You can also do this with goalposts. You can inhale, arms together, and exhale, arms out. And now we're going to take our back leg that's extended. We're going to take our back arm, which should be our right arm, down our back leg, and we're going to start to side bend like we did earlier towards that back leg. And then back to center. And then we're going to take our left elbow towards our bent left knee and take our right arm up and over and side bend towards. And then back up to center. Good. And if you want, you can also flow that when you're at home. You can go back and forth with your breath. So we'll heel toe our feet in like we did earlier. And then we're going to go opposite direction. So I'll show you that one more time. We're going to heel toe your right leg out. You're going to point your toes towards the wall. And heel toe your left leg back as far as you can, but keep your foot, for you all, to be facing towards me, okay? And you're going to try to line up your heel with your arch, but it's okay. It's not about getting the exact alignment. It's just about feeling the stretch and feeling comfortable, okay? Then we're going to bring our hands out again. Good. And then we're going to inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. And then we're going to reach back towards that left leg. Then back up to center. And we're going to take our right elbow towards our right knee, but you don't want to sink into that knee. You want to try to stand up nice and tall and bring the left arm over. And then back up to center. You might find it's easier to do that on one side than the other. Go ahead and, I know after I've driven like over an hour, one side is usually a little tougher than the other, and you just got to work it out a little bit.
It's harder to do in a chair than it is standing up.
It is. Earlier when I said some people think it's all easy, I think a Warrior 2 is easier standing than it is in a chair. I think a Warrior 1 is definitely easier standing than it is in a chair, which is why I didn't make it part of this flow. So now we are going to stand up. If you're not comfortable standing up, you can sit down, and I'll show you the modification for everything. But if you'd like to stand up, we're just going to go ahead and stand up and come to the back of our chair. And so the first thing we're going to do is just a chair pose with our chair. So you're going to hold on to your chair. You're going to stand comfortably behind where you can still hold the chair. You have enough room. Okay. And then just bend into your knees. Okay, good. Just going to hold it for a second and then back up. So if we have arthritis in our knees, we don't want to hold bent poses too much, but we also don't want to be afraid of them. We're going to have to bend back in. So you want to keep reintroducing that normal movement. And then back up. Good. Okay, we're going to build onto this. This time we're going to bend into chair, and then we're going to start to walk back into downward dog. And you all keep your chair where it is. I'm going to move mine so you could see what we're doing here. You want to try to get your arms straight, your back flat, and you don't want your hips too far in front of or behind your knees. Okay? And then we're going to lift, if you can, just a little, your right leg, bend into your knee, and step forward towards your chair. There you go. Then we're going to bend and straighten our back knee. Good. And then we're going to straighten our front knee and just hinge forward a little. This is called pyramid, and you should feel a good stretch behind your leg. And then you can inhale back up to standing, and then we're just going to step that left leg back up into chair and stand back up. Shake it out for a minute. We're going to do it all again for the other side, okay? We're going to sit back into chair. Walk back into downward dog. This time we're going to lift our opposite leg. So if your right leg was forward, then you lift your left leg. You step forward with your lifted leg. Bend into your back knee a couple times. You might feel some crunching. It's okay. Then we come back up, straighten the front leg, and hinge forward. And you should feel a stretch behind that thigh. Then we're going to come all the way back up, bend into your front knee, and then push yourself off to come back up to standing. Good. Okay, now we're going to do some balance poses since we're already standing. You're just going to come to the side of the chair. You can pick whichever side. We're going to hold on. I know. We'll probably, just stagger a little.
That's all right.
Okay. And whichever leg is closest to the chair, that's the one that's going to stay on the ground, okay, so that you can hold on. And you're just going to bend the knee of the opposite leg as high as you want. You can stay right here. You can bend it up to here as high as you want, okay? We're just going to practice holding here. Now the key to this is squeeze your bottom. If you squeeze your bottom, it's going to help you stay up. You don't want to lift or kind of twist or sink. And then if you're feeling extra sturdy, you can lift your hand up off the chair. And if not, just keep it on. Yeah. And if you want to build, you can build from what we did earlier, and this is a good time too where you can point and flex those toes and make those circles. I'll go ahead and let it down and shake it out a little. And we'll go to the opposite side. And this is where you might notice you just have more balance on one side or the other. So we're going to lift up our outside leg as high as you want. Yeah. Keep that knee bent. And if you want, you can let go of the chair. You can bring your hands to heart center or goal post, or just stay holding on. And then we'll try those circles again. There you go. Good. All right, we'll shake that out. We'll give our left leg a break, come back to the other side. This is also good for balance to walk around things. So this time we're going to do tree pose. And the other key with balance poses, if you ever feel yourself falling, find something that's not moving very quick to center on, and it'll help your balance. So don't look at anything moving while you're trying to balance, because it will throw you off. So keep the leg closest to the chair stabilized. This one's going to stay on the ground. Make sure you're anchored in. And you're just going to bend into the outside leg with the ball of the foot. And then you can just turn the leg out, and you can rest your heel on your shin. If this isn't accessible, this is a fine way to do tree. You don't have to do any more than this. But if you want, you can put your heel here. And if you'd like to grow it, you can put the outside foot on the inside shin. And then if you want to practice a little balance, you can bring your arm up. If you want extra balance, you can bring the other arm up. You can imagine there's wind. If you want even more balance, you can imagine it's dark and close your eyes, but I wouldn't recommend that. And then go ahead and come back down. And we'll go to the other side. Make sure you shake those out good. And so then we're going to anchor our leg closest to our chair. Start with we call it kickstand. We're just going to kickstand that outside leg. And if you want, you can turn it out to where the heel is towards the ankle. And if you want to grow, we can put the foot on the shin. Now you can bring the outside arm up, inside arm up, and again, you can sway if you want. Or just hands to center. Yeah. And we'll bring it all back down, shake it out. Okay. Now we can sit back down. We're not done yet. We got to sweat a couple more times. We're going to practice a little variation of a boat pose using our block. So one of the ways to do this, and we don't have to, I'm going to show you, is to kind of hold your arms up like this and your legs up like this. That can get a little tough though on your back and your core, so we're going to practice. You can hold the sides of the chair and you can just tap up and down onto your block or to the floor, whichever one is more comfortable for you. And then you can practice lifting both at the same time. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. Or just keep tapping. Just keep tapping. There you go. And now to build onto this, you can try holding the block between your feet and lifting the block up and down, up and down, up and down. And this you're going to feel a little bit lower in your abdomen, so if you're trying to get those lower abdominal muscles, this is a good way to do that. Good, okay. Go ahead and let that rest. Let's get that. Now to kind of work that out, since we've done a lot, we're just going to go into star pose. So this is actually a really good stretch if you've had a long day, if you've been seated a lot. You just extend the legs out, come to the edge of the chair. Let yourself kind of fall back and extend your arms up. You can kind of flex and extend your fingers like you're making a fist. Good. Go ahead and come all the way back in. And now we're going to do a figure four. This is a really good hip opener. So you can extend one leg out So how about we all do the left leg? We'll extend our left leg, come to the edge of the chair, extend your left leg. And you're gonna cross the right ankle over the left ankle. If this is not accessible, that's okay. You can have it out here, you can have it up here, but if you're able, you can cross it here. And we're just gonna start sliding our ankle up and down our shin. And if you're able, without help, let it come up as far as it can. If it can come above the knee, then bend your knee, okay? But if it doesn't, if it stays here and you say, I don't really have that range of motion, that's okay. You can stay right here. So I'm gonna show you this with my ankle on my shin, and then you're just gonna hinge forward like we did earlier when we were doing those forward folds. And you should feel an opening in your hip, maybe even a stretch back here and in your extended leg. And we're gonna come back up. Go ahead and take that right foot off the left and then walk that left leg back in, shake it out a little bit. Good. We'll do the same thing on that right side, so we're gonna extend that leg out. Cross that left ankle over the right if it's accessible, but again, if you're out here, that's okay too. So I'm gonna show this variation, and then we're just gonna hinge forward. You should definitely feel a stretch behind that right leg this time. There we come all the way back up. Good. And kind of walk everything back in. And one more time, since we just did our hips, we're going to do those hula hoops from before, just to circle around a little. One direction, then the other. Good. And now we're going to go into our last relaxation pose, okay? So there's two ways to do this. You can put your block behind your back to stabilize, or you can rest your feet on it. So I like to rest my feet on it just because I'm shorter, so when I lean back in my chair, I usually can't touch the ground very well. We're just gonna let our feet rest, lean back against the chair, just let everything relax. You can put your hands by your side or on your thighs. Close your eyes if you wish, or you can leave them open, and try to return to that 4-count breath. Big inhale, exhale. And just take a minute to just relax. It's always important that we return to the breath. And when you are breathing, try to always inhale through your nose. Inhaling through the nose is healthiest for the lungs. And if your eyes are closed, you can flutter them open. And kind of wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Make fists with your hands, scrunch your toes, let them back out again, scrunch your toes, let them back out again. If your feet are on a block, you can bring them down to the floor and walk in, sit up nice and tall. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale them down through heart center. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I hope you had a good time and that you learned some new moves. Thank you.